Welcome to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. For a quick audio and video check-in on the stock market, here's the Stock Market Power Lunch.
Hello, welcome to the Investing Podcast. This is the Investing Power Lunch, although we're getting close to the end of the day. It's about 2 o'clock now, and by the time you'll see it, it'll probably be, market might be closed. But we have some things that we wanted to touch on today. But first, how was your weekend, Sam?
Had a good weekend. It was kind of quiet. How was yours?
Played a lot of tennis.
A lot of tennis.
We got to keep winning. So Sam and I are the office doubles champions.
Yep.
And we're intent to keep it that way.
Yeah, we actually kicked Andrew out of the power lunch for the day because we wanted y'all to see the tandem
Working
in action.
Yeah. He's got the home runs down.
Yep.
We're winning 4-0, and I think
4-0 on home runs. I have to say, my back's kind of hurting because I feel like I'm the only one hitting home runs. You're not getting any.
I know. I only maybe one frame shot.
Yeah.
But that's the extent. I can't get it over otherwise.
He's got to get in the weight room. I'm preaching to him, if we want to remain champs in the office, you're going to have to start carrying your weight, whether it means like a little extra practice on the weekends like you did this weekend, or maybe hitting the weights or something.
Yeah. Well, it'll be nice when we have that weight room here at Tusk Media.
That's right.
So let's hit the markets really quick. S&P up 60 basis points, led by financials, materials, healthcare stocks, staples, and discretionary lagging. They're all up about 40 basis points. Financials up a little over 1%. Gold roughly flat. Crude oil down about 1.5%, and the dollar strengthening against the euro or the yen, and a little bit of compression in the bond yields today, which is kind of interesting. Fed expectations for a September rate hike are up to 36%, and for December we're up to 60%. So let's hit the Fed. What do you think is going to happen in September?
You know, I mean, I feel like it's the same story week after week. We're going to be looking at macroeconomic data heavily, trying to decide what the Fed's going to do. Goldman Sachs thought that Jackson Hole, they thought that the indications that the Fed made, they thought were strong enough to raise their probability of a rate hike coming in September. But PIMCO was saying the complete opposite. PIMCO said that nothing was said to give any indication that a rate hike was coming. So I think, and the implied probability shows the same, that it's still just a coin flip. Friday non-farm payrolls come out. That could be a big indicator. If we get a strong number there, I think we could see a rate hike. Again, it's still just kind of a coin flip, though.
Right. It's interesting because we had that terrible number back in May on the non-farm payrolls, and that was all kind of reversed with an awesome number in June.
Right.
And then July was pretty solid, and then we'll see what will happen in August as well. It seems like we're kind of running in that 180 to 220 jobs added a month, so we'll see if they can hit that again this month.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because my personal opinion was that the May number was going to get revised upward, just kind of higher and higher and higher, or it was kind of mitigated, but it really hasn't been revised upward that much. So that number seems to be pretty accurate.
Right.
I don't know how much the Fed's going to weigh on that number now that it's kind of becoming less and less relevant as we move into the future.
Right. So keep an eye on that. That'll be coming up in a couple weeks here. So we also wanted to hit on Apple. Just as we were coming into the studio here, they announced a September 7th event. Coincidence? September 7th, iPhone 7. I don't know, it may or may not be the iPhone, but it will be the iPhone. So what are your thoughts on this new iPhone? Is there going to be some surprising, revolutionary enhancement to what we know from Apple?
Yeah, I really don't think so. I think, they've talked about removing the headphone jack, and they're offering a free pair of the wireless Beats, to kind of go with that to, I think, encourage people to go ahead and buy the iPhone if that's something that they're worried about. Because I know, me personally, if I didn't have an iPhone, I was looking at buying one, didn't have a headphone jack, that's a big deal if you don't have, especially if you work out a lot. Not that I work out a lot, but Ben over here, since he's about to start getting into the weight room, that could be a really big, influential aspect of the phone.
Right. I might have to buy the new iPhone 7 just so I can get that pair of Beats.
Right.
So,
But yeah, I don't know it's going to be too much different than what we're expecting, which might not be a good thing for Apple. But who knows? We'll see.
It seems like that cycle, that replacement cycle for the iPhone is lengthening a bit from that 2-year period where everybody kind of replaced their phone every 2 years because there was significant enhancements. Now people are saying, you know, my iPhone 6 is good enough, or even maybe my iPhone 5 is good enough. I don't need to go and buy the newest thing that Apple's coming out. So it'll be interesting to see what the lines do. You always get these analysts. They are always walking down the streets of Manhattan, counting the people at line at the Apple store before the iPhone comes out,
right.
And they can actually go into the store.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you mentioned the cycle lengthening out, which is almost like a congrats to Apple. Like, good job, you're making better phones that last longer. But from Wall Street's perspective, it's like, I don't know. Do they want to make a little bit worse phones so that they sell
right.
more? I don't know.
It's a whole light bulb problem. I think there's case studies about light bulbs that could be made to last 100 years, but they're made to last only
right.
a certain amount of time so that people come back and buy it.
Right.
Next thing we want to hit, this actually was news that came out on Thursday evening. It was GameStop. And so GameStop came out with earnings. They missed expectations, reiterated earnings per share guidance for the full year. People did not like that though. Sold off the stock pretty hard. I think it was down over 10% on Friday. And can you enlighten us what happened there?
Yeah, you know, I think people had high expectations due to the Pokemon Go.
Right.
Was it the CFO? CFO had an interview where he said, you know, we've made all of our stores Pokestops and trying to increase traffic in the stores. And I think the expectation was that they would not only, you know, meet analyst estimates, but that they would raise guidance for the rest of the year. And the market really, you know, did not like that for GameStop to just say, yeah, everything's on track, because it's kind of like they had this event that was supposed to make everything even better, and they almost kind of acted like that was part of their plan the whole time,
right?
Which doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah, I think management has really lost touch with the street. I mean, they seem to be in this alternative reality, a virtual reality, you might say, that things are going okay and that their business transition to move more toward collectibles and toward used games and digital games, and you know, they're running AT&T stores now. They think that transition is going to be kind of the new phase of GameStop. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just kind of scary. It's a scary thing to be transitioning out of your core business model into something else. And you know, they've had a lot of positive feedback from AT&T about running their stores, and so that's a good sign. But as investors, it's still just kind of worrisome to see a company who's like, yeah, our main business is, you know, on the downward cycle, and we're going to try to expand into something else that we really don't know how proven they are in it. Because this is the AT&T stores. That's a relatively new thing that they've been doing.
Yeah. So let's finish off. There's a couple guys starting with KA made news this weekend. First of all, you have Colin Kaepernick not standing for the national anthem. And he's going to continue not standing for the national anthem until things change in America and the flag actually represents what he thinks it should represent. So not respecting the national anthem, so there's one KA. And kind of selfish move, I mean, I think.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I don't quite. I mean, I understand like trying to take a stance, you know, saying like I want America to move in the right direction. Like on one side it's very patriotic, on the other side it's like, come on, man, like you gotta stand by America no matter what if you're a true patriot. And so just disrespecting the country like that, it's not too cool. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, people died to give him that freedom to sit down. So I'm not going to begrudge him the fact that he sat down. But don't come out and then it's a selfish move, I think. He knows he's going to get attention for it. There are other avenues to express that feeling rather than on a public stage like that, not joining in the spirit of unity.
Yeah, and I agree with that. There are other platforms to do that, and provided it's just a preseason football game, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But had this been a real football game or a regular season game, that's not the time to do it, because your job is to go out there and perform, not draw outside attention outside of football to you.
I mean, what would have happened if when you were playing college baseball, if you hadn't stood up when someone sang the Star Spangled Banner or they said Pledge of Allegiance?
I'd still be running. I'd be in big trouble.
You'd be circling the bases in Mississippi. And then Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye.
Last night at the VMA, is it VMA Awards or is it the VMAs? I don't know if I'm saying awards twice if I say VMA Awards. So what are your thoughts about his 4-minute monologue?
You know, I just kind of caught the highlights of it, and it kind of seems like not a whole lot happened. It could have been a lot worse. So, you know what? I don't think I'm the right person to try to dig inside Kanye's head. I think Kanye is the only man who can dig inside Kanye's head.
He's only guy smart enough to do that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's it for the investing podcast in this episode, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Good job.
Tusk Media is a subsidiary of Narwhal Capital Management. Ratings and reviews of Tusk Media content are not to be construed as endorsements of opinions, analysis, or services offered by Tusk or its parent company. The opinions and predictions shared here are our professional beliefs at the time of publication. We are not under duress from any of the corporate entities mentioned. This is not a solicitation to take any particular action. Although we are investment advisors, this information should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. We strive to be as impartial, insightful, and accurate as possible. We base our opinions, analysis, and calculations on information we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy. We can, however, guarantee that our opinions will sometimes be flat out wrong due to a variety of factors. Employees and clients of Narwhal Capital Management may or may not hold positions in the securities detailed and may or may not hold these positions in the future. A full list of all securities purchased, sold, or held during the 12 months preceding the date of this publication can be provided upon request. Unless otherwise noted, all data accessed via MarketWatch or the Bloomberg terminal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. A copy of Narwhal's Form ADV is available at the SEC's website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov, or from Narwhal upon written request.